Good evening, welcome to my school board meeting. It's Monday, March 14th, 2022, 6 o'clock. We're in the Susan Tully Lively Boardroom in the 1887 building. Call the meeting to order and ask Mr. Teller to call roll, please.
Mrs. Fisher.
Here.
Mr. Gayhart.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll. I would like to note that she is excused celebrating the birthday with her family. Mr. Martell.
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Ray.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Ms. Stoltz.
Here.
And Ms. Warpale.
Here.
We do have a quorum and we'll continue. I will note that tonight's meeting has been noticed per state statute. Do we have any community participation? Probably that's not on the agenda. Hearing none. Dispense with reading that and go to a food service award presentation.
All right. Would like to present to our food service department. We received an award for the Breakfast Hero Award for the percent of breakfasts served for the last year. So, Ella Leisure, can you come forward? No kids hungry. So,
We're all done, right?
Right, I know that Ellen made, and the food service department and their employees made a tremendous effort all through the pandemic the last couple of years to serve meals to not just our kids, but also the community members, whether it was in the summer when we were closed, and it definitely was appreciated and very much supported. So thank you for all those extra efforts.
All right, so then we have our school board minutes from February 28th attached to your agenda. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 28th, 2022 regular session school board meeting as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And so moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 28th, 2022 regular session school board meeting as presented. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Gayhart.
Yes.
Mr. Martell.
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Ray.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Ms. Stoltz.
Abstain.
And Ms. Warpale.
Yes.
Motion carried. General and other fund bills, Mr. Truon.
The general and other fund bills this evening cover checks number 145563 through 145726, wire transfers 1328 to 1346, ACH checks numbers 402 through 433, options renovation project wire number 1310, and two voids 143564 and 145309, the combined amount of $887,503.41. And then there was a memo providing some additional information on several of the bills in your packet.
Where was the city of Elkhorn? Did I miss that in there?
I think there were two city of Elkhorns. One was utilities, and I think one was for.
I knew one was utilities, but you talked about this other one. I missed it.
Yeah, I think the core one was engineering review for the options edition.
Yeah, that's what you came in, but I didn't see it. Oh, it up again. Would have been under city of Elkhorn?
Yeah, page 6.
Okay, good. I didn't have a chance to go back through again. Page 6.
Two small ones. One big one.
Well, page 6 for past city of Elkhorn.
Right there. 145620 and 145621.
Yeah. That's not good for that, isn't there? No, it's not.
Oh, page 6.
Page 6 is 66 and
Oh.
PDF.
Yeah, the PDF.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. I see now.
Yeah.
Kind of near the bottom.
Yeah, I was looking at the actual page number on there, so, got it. Oh, okay. I don't know why I couldn't find it before. Oh, that's minor. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Trimble? Hearing none. Looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve the general and other fund bills of March 14th, 2022, check numbers 145563 to 145726, wire numbers 1328 to 1346, ACH check numbers 402 to 433, options renovation project wire number 1310, and voided check numbers 143564 and 145309, in the combined amount of $887,503.41 as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of March 14th, 2022, checks number 145563 to 145726, wire numbers 1328 to 1346, ACH check numbers 402 to 433, option renovation project wire number 1310, and voided check numbers 143564 and 145309, in the combined amount of $887,503.41 as presented.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mr. Martell,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Stoltz,
Yes.
Ms. Warfig.
Yes.
Motion carried. Student report.
All right. So we've had some very fun things happen this past couple of weeks. Forensics had their first meet, which is not their first meet, but their competition, and our team did very well at it. At CCLA, they had their competition, which is called their star events, and almost every single person made it to state. So that's really cool. We had Gabby Dixon place first in bars for gymnastics, which is absolutely amazing. And then Liz Lockhart placed sixth in vault, I'm pretty sure. And then we also had a state meet for powerlifting, which was really amazing. And we actually figured out that our team tied for fifth in the state as a girls team, but we lost. We ended up taking sixth. We don't know what it was, but we tied with the fifth. It was a whole thing. We don't know what happened, but everybody did really, really well. We're very proud of everyone. So that was a good meet. At the middle school, they had their March Madness event where, let me see, the best costume winners were the grannies, which I thought was really funny because they were adorable. And the Splash Bros won the whole thing, which is a team right in the middle. And then we had the pep band perform there as well. And I think some of the high school members actually came out and helped with them too, which is really cool. At Jackson, the fifth graders spent some time making some toys for younger kids, which is like the photo in the middle and the photo on the left and at the bottom. For Officer Kirkpatrick's Olympics this year at the high school, we are supporting Colton, who is in the upper left-hand corner, he's looking for some money for a kidney surgery. He's a really amazing kid, super sweet. He's my friend Max Boucher. He hangs out with that kid a lot, and he deserves it. He deserves it. They've been writing down amazing notes on their nonfiction clubs as well, and the fifth graders sponsored a veteran to fly for free at the Future Stars and Stripes Honor Flight event in Washington, D.C., which is so amazing. Then at Tibbetts, they're wearing their orange shirts for Aldea's Day, which is really cool. And they had some practice with ukuleles and some piano in the piano lab, which I always loved when I was a kid. And they also had a PJ day, which I thought was really fun. Look at my PJs. I love that as a kid. West Side, they had a PBIS celebration where there was a school-wide minute to win it game, and one of them was the Oreo where you try and get it down your face without touching it and in your mouth. There were tons of those, and then the Secrets class, it had a pizza party as well that day. So that's really cool.
For us, no.
So College and Career Academy, Grand Craft Boats Incorporated opened up their business for some of the youth build students to go in and look They do all those really pretty wooden boats, which are, I love those. I've never seen them more. And also, they finished their carpentry phase in the house, so they're going to be setting up kitchen cabinets and interior doors at the house that they're working on. And then options. A family brought in some piglets for the kids to come and, you know, touch and cuddle and hang out with, and I thought that was really cute. So yeah, that's fine.
Always fun.
Director's report.
He just knows now. I like it.
Okay.
All right. So hi, Sarah Bosch, 612 Director of Instruction, and I am really excited to be here tonight to share with you some of the updates to our ACP process that have taken place over the last 2 years. So our essential question for tonight is, how are we using ACP to ensure that our students are future ready? We have a lot of acronyms in education, yeah, right, to say the least. So I thought we should maybe spend just a little bit of time reminding ourselves of what ACP stands for and exactly what it is. So ACP stands for Academic and Career Planning, and in 2017, Wisconsin passed a law saying that all school districts needed to provide academic and career planning services for all students. Part of that law has some specific requirements that we needed to follow, and another part of that law gave us some freedom to be able to kind of create our own system. Our district adopted this definition for ACP, which is student-driven adult supported process in which students create and cultivate their own unique and information-based visions for post-secondary success. And really what the purpose of academic and career planning is that we're providing our students and their families with those tools and the information that they need to figure out what they want to do after high school. So why do we do academic and career planning? Well, besides that it's the law, it just makes sense for us. It just makes sense as an educational institution that we would value academic and career planning, but we'd also carve out time for academic and career planning. When you think about what academic and career planning really is, we're asking our students to sit down and to reflect and to think about, you know, the skills that I'm learning in my math and in my English classes, how does that pair together and connect to the experiences that I have with the CTSO or athletics or a YA, and how does that help me to figure out what I want to do next? So answering those questions of who am I, where am I going, and how do I get there?
And CTSO stands for, and YA stands for?
Yes, Youth Apprenticeship, and CTSO is a Career and Technical Student Organization. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Padlock. All right, so in the last 2 years, we really have been intentional about our ACP process, and we knew that if we wanted to make sure that this was happening for all students and it wasn't happening by, you know, choice and chance of a teacher that they got or a course that they're taking, we needed to dedicate time for ACP within the school schedule. So at the middle school, we decided that the ACP lessons would take place during the Counselor Connect Days. Counselor Connect Days are times when our school counselors go into the core courses and they're the teacher for the day. And instead of having science for that day, when the students come in, they're getting an academic and career planning lesson. And that happens in all 4 core classes twice per year. At the high school, we carved out time during student success time, which is 30 minutes a day on every Tuesday. And the academic and career planning lessons happen in a rotation with our social and emotional lessons, as well as our academic behavior lessons. It's important to know that ACP is not just about giving students lessons, right? On figuring out who they are and figuring out where they want to go and figuring out how they're going to get there. It's really about putting all those pieces together and them to be able to articulate what's next for me. So that has been the second area of focus that we've really had in the last 2 years is creating a K-12 alignment of our ACP process. And connecting together not just the lessons and making sure that they're articulated, but also what are those products that students are able to put all those pieces together and articulate what's next for them. So tonight, I brought some of our 612 counselors with me, because who better to share what that looks like for you. So I'll have them introduce themselves, and then we can just start with the middle school and then go into the high school.
All right,
Come on up. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Todd Delani, middle school counselor.
And I am Becca Ragowski. I'm the other middle school counselor. So as Sarah passes around the handout, that just kind of highlights what we do for the academic career planning process across all 3 of the different grades, 6, 7, 8. So ACP is something that I really love talking about. I think sometimes I get overexcited about it because it's really fun, helping the students figure out what they like to do and then start thinking about not only high school, but after high school too. So we just wanted to go over what we do in the 3 different grades. Some of it is similar, but obviously there's going to be differences as well. So a large part of what we do in terms of academic and career planning is using Zello lessons. So Zello used to be called Career Cruising, but now it's become Zello. It's become updated and a lot more user friendly. Basically what it is a free college and career exploration platform for the students to use. And it's really nice because not only is it an exploration tool, but they also have lessons that are built into Zello for each grade. So it's differentiated. And what's really awesome about the lessons is it's not super generic or general. As the students go ahead and save different things to their profiles, such as skills, interests, careers, colleges, the lessons pull from their profile to make it more specific to them. So that's really nice, and I think it makes the lessons just a little bit more interesting.
It helps with the
and
buy-in.
specific.
The kids are learning about something that they've already expressed to the program that they're interested in, and then it throws that stuff in there, so it hooks them.
Yeah. So in 6th grade, the kids don't use Zello in elementary school as far as I know, because it does appear to them once they come to the middle school, but we do a starting middle school lesson to begin with where we introduce ourselves, kind of get them adjusted. And then from there on, we do the Zello lessons that are dedicated to the 6th graders. So we do an intro to Zello, which isn't a canned lesson. It's more so, hey, this is what it is. This is how you use it. And we have the kids take what's called a matchmaker assessment, where they get to rate 39 different statements, and then it matches them with careers that might be a good fit for them based on what they rated. So the kids love doing the matchmaker. They always talk about, oh, this is what I got. What did you get? Or, oh, this is a really good fit. Or, why did I get that? So it's really fun. It's a really good
And
conversation.
it's something as we progress through the grades, and even when they get to high school, that they can continue to take the matchmaker, because your likes and interests are going to change over time. And it's just a Likert scale. There's 2 to the right, 2 to the left, and 1 in the middle. We try to get them away from the 1 in the middle, because if they click not sure all the time, then it comes back as these results are inconclusive, right? So, but no, they really like that. And almost, I know we have a kid or 2 in every single lesson when we get in there. They'll quickly go through the matchmaker. It takes them less than 5 minutes, 39 quick questions. Do you like working with kids? Yes or no, right? So it's something that they continually do as they get older too.
The next 2 lessons are nice because they just make that connection for the students. Well, how can you connect your school subjects and your interests to careers and what you might want to do in the future? The final one is more so just about life skills, so decision making and time management. And then we have the kids update, what they're involved in. I think that's something that the middle school in general has really focused on, promoting involvement in different clubs, activities, sports. So everyone feels like they have kind of a niche at the middle school.
As a Google Doc changes and saves as you go, so does Zello. So when they move from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, their information stays in there, and they can keep adding to their skills if they've created new skills along the way or interests and such. So there's a lot of different areas that they can dive into and they keep gaining things as they go.
And then recently we did course selection because now at the middle school, the kids get to pick their 3 allied art courses that they want to take rather than taking the 6 all throughout 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. 7th grade learning styles, they take another assessment learning how they learn best. Are they tactile, visual, or auditory learners? Which then helps them think about, well, how should I study or how do I best learn in the classroom? Discover Learning Pathways is really fun. It talks about the different avenues that you can take after high school. So there's 6 major ones that they go over. Biases and career choices, we're talking about how there's race, gender, disability, and class bias, and how sometimes that affects people and what careers they choose to go into. Jobs and employers is possibly my favorite lesson in all of them.
And the kids like it too. If they take, what's neat again is it's driven towards their likes and interests. So once they get into the lesson, it pulls a couple careers that they've matched with, and then it starts talking like, who would hire a musician? And then they have to really think about like, well, okay, obviously besides like, a record company, who else? They're stumped. They're like, I don't know who. How about a cruise ship? How to, anybody who's doing entertainment things, you get them to think a little bit more about, if I do this, how do I get paid? And then at the end of the lesson, and at the end of the lesson, we actually, we pulled a Frank's application. So we went through an actual Frank's application and talked about what is a reference and what, why we put these things down. Why do you think they're asking you this? So they can really start to think about it. And they were really excited because they're really close to some of them getting part-time jobs. So.
And a lot of kids work at Frank's.
Yeah.
So that was cool to do with them looking at the job application. And then we have 2 of the same things in 7th grade as 6th grade. In 7th grade, they do something that is called a 7th grade summary, where when we come into the classrooms and we do the different Zello lessons, we have them complete slides. So we created a template, which is like a PowerPoint presentation. Apparently that's old to say now. If you say PowerPoint, it's slides. And they enter in their information that they do on their Zello lessons, like their learning style, what pathways they're interested in, and things like that. So everyone has something that they created by the end of 7th grade. Do you want to explain 8th grade?
Yeah, so 8th grade, we talk about skills needed for careers, and we talk about what skills are, and what skills that some of them have already created and they don't even know that they have. For example, we're talking in 7th grade, we're talking about the skills that one of the students had that I know works at a local establishment, and she deals with money, and she's always talking to people. I said, communication skills, finance skills, all these different things, these person-to-person skills that all the kids in the class were like, whoa. And they really were in awe of her. I'm like, well, she's been doing it for years, her family owns the business and she's been working there. So we talk about those types of things. And again, there's a section in there after the lesson that they go and fill out their actual skills that they've come into to understand that they've already possessed. So those skills keep growing as they get older. Then we explore our career matches. So once we've actually gone into and we found the career matches and we like those certain ones that we like, now we're going to dive into each one of them and figure out how much education do I need? How much money could I possibly make? Where do I need to go to grow my skill set to get into that career? And then update our volunteer hours and clubs activities. There's always little things that they can do when they finish lessons that are going to add more to the whole process of, if you could call it like a portfolio, where they have all their things there. And then in January, we start talking about high school prep, and we bring in Kristen Kilkenny from the high school, and she comes in and talks about our different different avenues of picking our allied arts and things like that in high school. That's a couple weeks in a row where it's pretty intense, and we're in the classrooms a lot, making sure that they understand the ins and outs of how to schedule, and they're asking all sorts of high school questions. And new this year, we brought link crew leaders over, and they did kind of a Q&A, which is really, really neat. The ones that I popped into were done really well with link crew. So high school kids coming over and talking and answering flat out questions that our kids have for them. Maddie, were you a part of that?
Yeah, the middle school was listened really well too, because they're high
Yeah.
schoolers and I feel like they kind of want to listen because they're going to be there next year. It was really interesting going. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was really
the-
helpful.
And the kids had a lot of questions too.
Yeah.
It was good.
And you guys were honestly able to answer questions better than we are too, because we're
Right.
at the high school and you guys do it every day and go through motion. So
Yeah.
that was nice to do this year.
In May, we're hoping to do a high school tour. We've done it in the past and we had to cancel it because of COVID, but basically both pods come over and they walk through the kind of different sections of the high school. They get to pop into classes and see teachers in action. It's actually really cool, neat day where link crew leaders lead them around again. And then you can speak on the Gateway field trip.
Yeah, so unfortunately with COVID, we had to cancel that. Well, they canceled it, but, so in the past, we've gone to Gateway. We like to go to a technical college because a lot of kids do have the idea that you only go to technical college if you can't get into a four-year college, which honestly, for some kids, technical college is fantastic. It all depends on what you want to do. So we did that, and then we are going to show you kind of like the 7th grade summary presentation. 8th grade, what we're leading up to is creating an 8th grade summary presentation. So we're going to show you a student example. She did a super fantastic job. So similar to 7th grade, we give them a template, and then every time we come into the class, we have about 2 slides that they complete and finish. So everyone does their name. We removed it on the first slide, but the second one is more about me, hobbies and skills. 3 and 4 are about careers that they like. So 3, they pull directly from their matchmaker assessment, and then they reflect on the side. Do I feel like any of these are a good fit for me? Why or why not?
Yeah, so those are the ones that match with Matchmaker. And then they answer the question on the right, do you feel that these are good for you? Sometimes it's absolutely and sometimes it's absolutely not, so there's a lot of in between there.
Yeah, so then on the next slide, they get to go ahead and they get to say, these are the careers that I want to do, that I'm interested in. And then on the side there, they get to pick any and all career pathways that they're interested in by checking it off. Then we get into some goal setting. So they set 3 goals, 1 for 8th grade, 1 for freshman year, and then 1 for post-secondary. So we have them do SMART goals. We talked a lot about that last year, just talking about what the goal is, how am I going to get there, why is this important to me, and what are some barriers. The next slide is talking about taking care of yourself. What stress management techniques do you use, especially when we talk about going into high school? We know that the workload increases. A lot of kids are nervous about going into high school. So what do you know works for you? What are some of your top stressors, the things that do stress you out? And then what are coping strategies that don't work? Because we do share this with Ms. Kilkenny, the high school freshman counselor, and I think that that's really good information for her to know as well. And then we do some reflecting on who is a part of your support system, who are people that you can reach out to for help, and that you feel comfortable reaching out to for support. And then my favorite slides are the final 2. So we look back at middle school. We have them write down their favorite memory, advice that they would give their 6th grade self. We had some good ones on there. And then thinking about what were my favorite classes and why. So this student, it's really interesting because every single year her favorite class was because of her teacher. So this student is a relationships kid. Relationships with the teacher are very important to her. And then after we look back on middle school, we look forward to high school. So what am I most excited for? We want them to identify different clubs, activities, and sports that they're interested in, because we want all of them to have at least something that they want to do. And then classes that they're looking forward to. And then if any of them had extra time, they got to personalize. A lot of them wanted to add photos, quotes, things like that. So the student did add a little bit extra. But those have been really fun to look at, and it's nice that they're personal and gives the high school a little glance at the student before they get there.
Can I ask you, when you do the matchmaker assessment, does it come up with kind of like things like within the norm? I remember when my daughter took one years ago, before they ever did this kind of stuff, they came up with mime. And if you know her, know my family, mime is not something we could do. So, see, they're laughing because they know me. So, I mean, how
Was that the only
detailed.
career choice? Was-
I would say that
That was the strongest one.
the questions
How
asked,
detailed does it get? such
the
as
questions asked simple questions that are leading to something that you're into or you're good at. For example, would you like to be sitting at a desk all day? That would be one of the questions.
Oh.
And then depending on your answer, all the combination of the answers with their algorithms lead them to the matches that they get. So they can be as wide range as, again, do you like working with kids, or do you like making maps or looking at maps, like simple things like that. So they're really quick, and they usually know their answer pretty quickly because they've done it a couple of times. But they go through very fast.
Yeah, I can tell you mine is not a result.
Right, right.
Just seems really odd.
Someone might have.
Maybe for some people, but not
There
our
are some pretty
family.
bizarre matches, though. I mean,
Are there?
Oh, yeah.
Our head talking about is like vending machine operator, and you're like, that is so specific. But then they don't get into like specific nursing jobs, for example. So some of it is kind of general, like kids say, well, I want to go into the NFL, but the only option is like professional athlete.
Right.
So I think, with such a wide range of careers out there, they do a pretty good job of trying to encompass most of them without getting too specific or being too general. So there are a couple strange ones like winemaker
So,
and like
funeral home director.
Yeah.
That comes up, and some kids will get that and I'll be like, okay, why do you think that is? What skills does a funeral home director have to have? They have to be able to work, they have to be compassionate, right? They have to be organized. All those different things that it's pulling are leading towards down that path. So it's very intuitive. It's a really neat program.
I'd like to take it and see Brett.
I take it every year.
And it hits it on the head. With us, we'll do it, and it's every type of counselor that you can get
Okay.
access.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Hey, up next is the high school.
See, I did want to, as the high school transitions though, and I know Mr. Schaaf has been here a long time. Thank you.
We're not as young as them, so we don't use slides or. Carbon copy
This is a compliment though, because we were doing, and Elkhorn was doing, and the guidance office was doing career cruising and those type activities long before the state ever mandated as part of the law. Your daughter graduated well before this was enacted as part of the law.
Right.
Career cruising was the platform we were using. The state, it got upgraded, I think bought out or transitioned to Zello. And we don't have to use Zello, but Zello is the one that the state has purchased. So it's free to us, but the state does pay for that, and it's a pretty robust. And so we made that decision years ago to go along with it. But I think it's something, kudos to the Elkhorn guidance department and the school district, because this has been a focus long before it was mandated by law. And I know it's a lot of work in that transition, but it is a tradition or a lot of work in that transition to that state piece. But Elkhorn was miles ahead of where a lot of other districts were that weren't doing anything along those lines. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you. And yeah, Mr. Shaw, just
not that.
well, senior in the department in terms of years of experience here. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so Mr. Shaw.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm Mrs. Workelman. So I've been here, this is my 4th year at Elkhorn. So I'm going to talk to you about the first part, the process, and it's the flyer that you have out in front of you. So the students come to us, obviously you just heard from the middle school with quite a bit of time spent getting to know themselves, taking a look at what their skills and interests are. And then our job at the high school becomes taking that and developing it a little bit further for them as they're getting older, but then also how do I transition that into a plan? Like, where do I take that information? Like, so I know all this stuff about myself. What do I do? So this list that you have in front of you shows ninth grade, we focus on getting to know yourself. What are like my learning styles? What am I interested in? Things like that. In 10th grade, we move on to exploring careers. And obviously this is a huge area for kids. It's a huge area for me. I always learn about a new career when we're doing this. There's so much out there. And as we know, there's even careers like we don't even know what they are yet, right? So this is a big piece for them to spend that time exploring what's out there. When we get into 11th grade, now they have to take, this is who I am, this is what I think I'm interested in, and how does that become a plan for me? What things do I need to be doing in the building academically? What classes do I have to take? All the amazing opportunities that Elkhorn has, right? Like, how am I taking advantage of all of them? Am I taking dual credit classes? Am I in a CTSL? What am I doing that's going to reach my plan and help me get to where I want to go? And so we look at that, and then we also look at those post-secondary plans. Like, what are the different ways? I'm interested in computers. If I went and explored that route through military, how could I get there? Technical college, 4-year college, 2-year transfer. There's so many different ways to get there. Do they know all of them? And then try to help them figure out what would be a good fit for me then, based on that. So now we have all of those pieces, and then we go on to senior year is really those really practical tasks, like, okay, you gotta do your FAFSA, you gotta do your applications, you gotta write your essay, like those really practical things. Okay, so we have this in place. This is our process. These are all the lessons we're doing, and we're looking at how do we judge if our ACP process at Elkhorn is successful? How do we answer that question? And we could do a couple things. We could maybe give you a report that says your student finished 9 of 9 assignments. Good job, right? Does that measure success? And that didn't answer it for us. It really didn't. It's like that just didn't feel right. And so we got to the place where we circled around that question quite a bit and said, I think where we need to land is, are our students able to articulate, this is who I am, what I'm interested in, what I think I want to do, and this is my plan. This is, how I prepared for that, what I want to do, where I'm going, and I can tell you why that makes sense for me. And so we wanted students to be able to articulate that. So I'm going to give this to Mr. Schaaf to explain what we're hoping becomes that. Well,
Jason said it.
yeah. Oh.
He hasn't been here long enough.
You have to. I don't want you to see it.
I've seen it, it looks really good.
Okay. You're not sure. Try again? No, not yet. Okay.
But as we're
Yeah.
transitioning to this,
Do you have to make some-
I guess I would,
click on things for you?
well, when we
Yeah.
get the product, we'll see that.
Okay.
Everybody summed that up perfectly, but, as you hear, my colleague is alluding to is, we all understand we exist to serve our students. And so it's been a constant struggle. It will be till the day we retire on how to do that best. So how do you measure something that's kind of subjective? And I think the answer is, we as adults have been in the workforce forever and know a lot of things about that. And that's why we started moving to, as a district, got this right from our webpage, a redefining readiness dashboard. So we know the important things the opportunities that we're giving our students to build skills and to build career awareness and to give them guidance. Those things like taking dual credits and having workplace learning experiences and taking AP classes and all that stuff on our dashboard. But we always have conversations about if that's not filtering down to our individual kids who are unique, every single one of them, and developing these individualized goals and plans for themselves for after high school, then we're falling short of the goal. It's them who have to be able to connect the dots for themselves and be really confident that, okay, my first step out of high school, this is what I'm doing. And here's why I'm confident I think it's a good fit for me. And here's also why I'm confident I have the skills to be very successful in this pathway. That's our goal. And so that's what awesome practice at the middle school, having these cool lessons and connect, starting to get this self-knowledge and awareness. And then they're putting it into a kind of a portfolio. That's why Shannon said it's, it'll be our goal at the high school then to really solidify that post-high school plan, but then to be able to have them very, as best they can, articulate what that plan is. And so to help them, we want to develop a portable document, because we think that's kind of real life. Like, I could see a student using this platform to speak about themselves in an interview. Here's why you should hire me. Tell you exactly why you should hire me. This is what I know about myself. Here's the opportunity to given myself to know these things. To a scholarship selection committee, here's why I think your money will be best spent on me, for lack of a better term. I'm going to be successful in this particular pathway. But it still takes a lot of practice. We forget that as adults, that they haven't had a lot of practice talking about themselves. It's not intuitive, it's not comfortable. So just like, you know, the old 3x5 note cards for a speech, we want to give them this electronic portfolio as a template. You can build it again as an adult, in a career change, in whatever the next path in your life is. But you'll see on that left-hand column, these are many of the things that are reflected on our district dashboard. And we would provide them, much like Todd and Becca do. They've got their slide template that's blank and gets filled in along the way. These would be blank for them. Maybe just show you a couple of the pages, like if you look at About Me. Maybe we won't.
I can get it. I've got it.
Can you get it on there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I only did after she allowed us.
Sure. So when you go to like About Me, that would be like a starting page. Here are those first like freshman year Zello activity, those lessons we've done in SST. And it's like the kids will take it and run with it. This is me just having my own daughter in the back of my head and then kind of going to Zello and just cutting and pasting some graphics. Here's what it looks like from Zello. They can enhance it with videos and graphics of their own and stuff like that. But it gives you an idea of what they learn about themselves through their Zello lessons, their SST lessons. Do a work-based learning or something like that. How did you get back to the page?
Refresh.
Or just hit refresh, yeah. Or you can see it. I mean, you'll quickly, if you have access to that, you can quickly go through and you'll get the gist of it.
I don't know.
The template would be blank. It would be reflective of those readiness dashboard items that we know are good opportunities for kids. But we ultimately have the end goal of maybe there's a senior exit interview that 100% of our seniors, you know, go to. We've got to figure out the logistics on something like that. But a platform for them, almost like a graduation rite of passage or requirement, if you will, for lack of a better term.
Or coming back.
Yeah,
From the last 4 to 6 year graduates, I've seen what they've achieved.
yeah,
If they can show how that stage their successes
yeah.
to the students that are involved now. Because there's a few students that I stay connected and say, what?
Yeah.
How? Really? And it would be neat to show them that this was a springboard into those successes.
Yeah, it would be great to reflect back on that. And we see usage, you know, at the high school level already. So it's like a student wants to apply for one of these workplace learning experiences, a youth apprenticeship.
Mhm.
Well, send me your e-portfolio and let's evaluate that as a criteria for. We, for a few years, have done a video trying to be contemporary, real world. The last question on the scholarship application, which some of our students will learn about tomorrow, has been a video prompt. So for them to, there's the prompt, you videotape yourself, or record yourself, whatever, upload the YouTube link to the application. But we could see this being on there, right? So give us a link to your e-portfolio as we evaluate who's worth the scholarship. So.
Do you see things like this being used in the future with college exams?
I would love it. Did you say with college?
Yeah, with college,
Yeah.
applications, I mean.
It's always interesting seeing the pendulum go back and forth.
Uh-huh.
I just read recently that there's a lobby to have colleges go back to 100% objective criteria. I'm not in that school of thought. I like that it's a holistic review, and that's what this reflects. And that's what we want our students to have, that mindset. I'm more than a number. It's not just my ACT score.
Right.
Look at all these certifications I've got and these dual credits I've got. And these volunteer hours and all of it's, they're old people.
Well,
And that's why I want working for me, you know?
I had to do an e-portfolio for grad school. So
Yeah.
it entered all my coursework and.
Mine was in a 3-ring binder, but that's true, it was.
You know.
My generation, I know. So, yeah, it's just a short
This
answer. I
would be
don't-
nice, because I remember when my first one went through applying for college exams and scholarships.
Yeah,
It was like, we didn't think about writing things down, like volunteer and all this stuff. And I'm in Florida or whatever, and she's here, and we're back and forth on the phone, and if we had something like this, for them to keep track of, they would be tracking it, and not as parents, which I think is another good life skill for them.
I think a lot of the criteria that's listed here, I could see the students directly transferring once they turn 18 or graduate right over to their LinkedIn page, which
Right, right.
I have a lot of students that right away when they graduate, they'll reach out and to connect, and they put it into that LinkedIn page. But I believe last time I looked, I think LinkedIn, you have to be 18. I don't, I think so, but
yeah.
you're supposed to be 15 on their age.
My son spends more time connecting on LinkedIn right now than any other platform.
Yep.
And I'm sitting
Minimum
reaching
age
out.
is 16 years old.
Yeah, he's had it since he was 17, so I didn't know if that was. Because I never actually checked it.
But I think it's nice that
That
this
is
would
the
be
new platform.
easily transferable,
Yeah.
and start building it, and then.
Yeah.
I do too. I think it's a really good segue into how to organize things, just such as we would do Avid. It's an organization. And my job, I've come back into it, and the people before didn't have the organizational skills.
Right.
So I see this being so handy in so many different opportunities.
Does this start freshman year then?
Mhm.
That they're plugging everything into it?
Probably freshman year lends itself still really well to the more formal lessons in Zello and that kind of thing. So we could start the build sophomore year, the actual Google site, sophomore year.
It's just like having a senior and now like doing the college apps and doing
Yeah.
everything and trying to keep track of when did that happen, when did this happen?
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's
That's what I said.
right.
It's nice to have a place where they can control entering that.
And someone gave my son advice, and it wasn't myself, so I can't take credit for this, but to start doing some of those college app questions early on, like what could you talk about and what experiences have you gone through? And when we pulled it up together at the kitchen table, he had a huge list on his computer. He's like, well, somebody told me to do this a couple of years ago. And I was like, so you have it? I mean, seriously, he just had it. And it was a couple years old. And it was just quick thoughts and ideas and, you know, but to go back in and to dive deeper into it.
That's the part we talk about why it is valuable to, and maybe even the portfolio part to introduce it freshman year. Because we've had Zello career cruising for a number of years, but it's still, we've preached that since day one, years ago, but somehow it still gets lost in the mix.
Right.
The kids don't connect the dots to, wait, I'm actually gonna use this
Right.
come senior
4
year.
years from now.
So even though we've got this electronic file cabinet that I can save all my stuff, and until it becomes more real like that, and individualized, I think then the light bulb goes on. So,
But when we're talking about like the AP and the tool, and I mean, so much of that is being introduced 8th grade. I think that would be a great time to say, and while you're doing that and making those choices, let's look at it.
Yeah.
Just because they're already having to use.
And it involves all the adults in the building, so we all become post-high school advisors and speak the same language, and that just adds power to the whole thing.
I feel like this should be started freshman year, just because like all the volunteer stuff, like I have a calendar
Yeah.
at home that I have to write on, but like this would have been so much better if I could just put it in there every single time. And like Zello, sometimes I forget to put stuff in
Yeah.
there, because I don't think about it until like Tuesday or whenever we do Zello, so it's like, this would be better.
It feels better connected to you, like it's your own site,
Feels
it's your own
personal.
portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have Zello, it is yours, they log into it and they can record it, but yeah, there's something about it that feels still disconnected. So we were trying to find that thing that would just be like, no, it's mine. It's
And
mine.
we reaffirmed it, just 2 weeks ago, we did focus groups again with our grade level, small groups of kids. That's one of the things that the feedback we got from the students themselves is that in the SST time, there's just something about the academic career planning piece because we're all in a different timeline and have all individualized goals. It's hard to, in that lesson, unless it's individualized, for me to really engage. And that's when I forget things that put in the stuff like that. So at least this personalizes it for them. And again, ultimately, it's real world. It's portable. They can use it in the future. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more slide.
Oh, sorry.
Just when you thought it was over. All right, so I just wanted to share our kind of what's next. We want to make sure that the same work that the middle school and the high school has been doing is happening K-5 as well. So we want to get that published on our district website so that this is available for everybody to see, so that there's an awareness around ACP and what that looks like at each level. And then roll out our e-portfolio for next year and determine what that presentation plan is going to look like senior year. We have to determine a warehouse for the 8th grade presentations and how to get those to 9th grade so that the 9th grade teachers and Ms. Kilkenny can access that, because there's important information on there for everyone to have. And then explore some details about having this be a potential credit requirement for high school. So exploring that idea as maybe a quarter credit per grade level. So anyway, thank you for your time tonight. And thank you to our counselors for all the work that they do, making this possible.
Slide 8.
Oh, what's slide 8?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
And just quick anecdote, last week I was helping my daughter, sat down to help her apply for a second job because she wasn't getting the hours that she wanted to be home anymore now that the holiday season's over. And it was so nice that she went in right in, she pulled up her resume with the references there. It did lead to a fight though, because I submit before she finished recontacting all of her references because it was drilled in. I'm like, well, you already contacted me. Yeah, but this is a different job that I have to contact them all.
That's good.
So yes, I was impressed, but she threw a fit and left. So still need some work on the resiliency piece. But, Dad needs work on listening to what her desires are. We'll work on that. But it was very nice as a parent to know that.
Thank you.
Yes, no, she doesn't watch the board meeting.
I'll make sure I tell her we're straight.
Right, exactly.
No.
Well, she was up at the lake house, and Mr. Serpy already told her right away on the first day, tell your dad to quit spending money on clothes. I didn't spend. He was talking
I
about
like the
utility
lake house, so I will see her there.
All right. Hey, personnel, we have, it's that time of the year. We want to give a big thank you to Connie Hammond, who is retiring at the end of the year as a 5th grade teacher at Westside after many years of service to the school district. Also want to thank Noelle Hamilton for her several years of service as she's accepted a new opportunity. And we have a number of transfers and new appointments there. If there's any you'd like me to go over, happy to discuss those.
Questions from Mr. Taylor?
I'll point out, there was a question related to in the coaching hiring softball this year. This is a new position, so this will be 5 coaches with softball. Their numbers are to the point where they're going to have 3 teams this year, a freshman, JV, and a varsity team. And that was the addition there. We like to make sure that we have 2 adults. I always want to be too deep when they go with teams, and so when they're playing games, oftentimes it'll be JV and varsity together, and freshmen will be off somewhere else playing, or the JV might be somewhere else, or vice versa. So with that, and then utilizing the volunteer coach, we should have that
Hearing no questions, looking for motion.
I move to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for March 14th, 2022, including new employment contract conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening as presented.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for March 14th, 2022, including new employment contracts, conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah, that's the first time we haven't had to do a roll call.
I was gonna
For a
say.
while.
I
that's been
know.
a long time.
Nice.
What's the difference?
We have a policy that if someone's online, we roll call them.
Oh,
But there's
yeah.
no-
Mhm, Gotcha. He's back.
I'm glad you asked, because I was really wanting to know.
I like it. I like it.
Someone's gotta take responsibility.
Yeah.
School gift.
I don't have any school gifts to present this evening.
Summer school budget.
Traditionally, the school board's taken action on approving a summer school budget because it does cross 2 fiscal years with the June and July programs. So this is the 2022 summer school budget. It's similar to past years. Looking again, after talking to Mr. Frost, program-wise, 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in July, we'll do the getting ready for kindergarten here at Jackson, and then the elementary program get to middle school, and the high school we get to high school. So very similar to how we operated the summer school program. The last couple of years, I think probably with COVID, our participation has been down. But talking with Mr. Frost this afternoon, he said the numbers are definitely up to more traditional summer school participation levels. So that's a good sign. Food service is gonna be kind of back to how we used to do it. I know Ellen's here, but we were able under the other federal guidelines to kind of offer the grab and go kind of program. And we're going back to where you have to be on site to participate in the program, so. And then I understand the rec program will be offering afternoon activities as well. And they actually run a bus there and pick up kids, so it's pretty well.
What were the number of FTEs we received from summer school last year, roughly?
We had 57 summer school FTEs, and then for revenue cap purposes, they calculate 40% of that. So you get a figure, then you can compare that to your cost. So traditionally, it's about equal the cost of our program. So it's almost kind of paid for itself in terms of revenue cap generation. Plus, it helps us in state aid, since we're a negatively aided school district. It increases our FTE for aid calculation. So financially, it's a nice program to have too.
Are we providing anything more than that, than we haven't had in the past, I guess? It looks pretty standard, but I just was wondering.
In
Looking at the budget, comparing the summer
Yeah,
school budget.
it's very typical
Yeah,
to,
okay.
the resources that we've kind of expended the last few years, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Last year it went up a little bit because we did increase the teacher pay amount. And that's reflected in there.
Yeah, no significant departure from the type courses or
Okay.
classes that we're offering.
Nothing's been added or taken out.
I mean, there might be a different course title, but nothing, like, there's still some course offerings at the high school level. And yeah, nothing significantly different.
Do those significantly change from year to year though, the course offerings?
We try to, they try to run the ones that are popular, and he'll put those back out if he can find the teachers, but he also opens it up to teachers for proposed courses, and if they get the enrollment, then they can run theirs. So the solid ones are pretty consistent from year to year. But it does vary, there is some variance as well, which helps keep it fresh too.
So do we do them all in one building, or like elementary, middle school in one building? I can't remember how we.
Yeah,
did
we
we
have 3
do that?
buildings actually. We have to get ready for kindergarten here at Jackson. And
Okay,
then the elementaries at the middle school, and then the high schools at the high school.
okay.
And then we do run a shuttle bus back and forth too for swim and other activities.
Oh. No, it's always nice to have another opportunity for those kids that need that. I know my kids always enjoyed doing something in the summer. To go from school to doing nothing, sometimes some kids don't have that opportunity to go outside of the family, so it's nice to have that opportunity.
Any questions? For motion?
I move to approve the 2022 summer school budget as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the 2022 summer school budget as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, I did not receive any further feedback regarding the dual credit for out-of-state college or the public records notice on directory data. Were there any portions of one review or go over before final approval?
The only one on the second one on the public, did we get a response about the 14 days?
Yep, I did check with Jerry. We do exempt any time in the school year
Okay,
if anyone wants their data removed. But from a statutory
That was a
basis,
statute.
it's, yeah.
okay.
So, but we also, anyone can submit at any time. I don't want to
Right,
share
okay.
it. Will.
Okay, yeah, we just had the question whether or not that was
Yeah.
part of the statute.
Situation
As
changes.
to like why that was in there.
Yeah,
It's not a date that we have other places.
right. That was the reason why though, but then we wouldn't have to, but we obviously do it. It's not a big deal. Restrict that or change the stats in that share.
Any questions? All right, looking for a motion.
I move to approve the new policy dual college credit for out-of-state college and revised policy 347.1, public records notice for directory data as presented.
Is there a second?
Also,
So moved and seconded to approve the new policy dual college credit for out-of-state college and revised policy 347.1, public records notice of directory data as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Announcements.
All right, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are at that time of the year where we've posted many of our open positions, that we have a number of elementary openings, and, you know, a few other openings, which is typical this time of the year. So just as we move into that hiring phase, you may see on the personnel sheets more internal transfers, things like that. I always like to move through those first and work with the staff on that. In some cases where there fits, for example, if I have an elementary teacher at one building, there's an opening in another building that they're interested in, they'll notify that. I ask that they meet with the principals for consideration for that and basically vet that out before we look at that rest of the pool. And I ask the principals that if there's a compelling reason as to why they don't, you know, feel that's an appropriate transfer, to let that individual know and why they feel it's not a good fit for that team. But then otherwise, you know, we move forward through that interview process. So I think, I know we just went through the screening interviews for Patty Wood's position, which, or early childhood, what's that position called? Early childhood coordinator or?
Parent connection.
Parent connection, parent connection coordinator. And, yeah, then next up, I know we have, I think, 6 or 7 elementary openings due to retirements and shifts, so, yeah, it'll be a busy time of year. But if you ever have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me and happy to fill you in on any of that. Wherever. That's all I have for announcements.
We do have a closed session tonight, so looking for a motion to begin closed session.
I move to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85 for 1 C to discuss a staff member's request. The school board will not reconvene in open session.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.851C. To discuss the staff member's request. The school board will not reconvene in open session. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mr. Martell, Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Stoltz,
Yes.
Ms. Borpego.
Yes.
Motion carried. Take a